All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to dive into the really weird and sometimes frustrating psychology of failure. And, this whole thing kicks off with a simple mobile game that was, well, surprisingly insulting.
It sounds like a strange question, right? I mean, how can a piece of software insult you? But this exact experience, that feeling of being personally attacked by a game, it actually opens up this fascinating window into why failure feels so personal. And paradoxically, why we sometimes go looking for challenges that we know are going to beat us.
So, let me tell you a story. It's about this little mobile game called Super Real Tennis. And the message it delivered was so uniquely frustrating that it actually teaches us a ton about our relationship with failure. Okay, so picture this. You're playing a game, you're giving it your all, maybe you're even getting a little better. But it doesn't matter what you do. Every single time you're hit with the exact same feedback. It doesn't care about your progress. It just makes you question if you even know how to play. This one sentence, again and again and again, turned this simple little game into a source of some serious self-doubt. It makes you think, am I really that bad? Did I miss something totally obvious? So, what is actually going on here psychologically? Why does this specific message feel so uniquely awful? Well, to really get why this tennis game felt so bad, we need to pull back the curtain and look at this really powerful psychological framework for how we process setbacks. It's called attribution theory. Basically, anytime we fail, our brain just immediately starts looking for a reason. We are just wired to ask, why did that happen? And the answer we land on, the story we tell ourselves about who or what's at fault, that changes everything about how we feel. So these three dimensions, they mix and match in different ways. And the absolute most damaging combination, when we feel like a failure is our fault, it's permanent, and it says something about us as a person, well, that can lead to what psychologists call learned helplessness. And that's that awful feeling that nothing you do matters, so why even bother trying? And right there, that is why this little game felt so insulting. Whether they meant to or not, they basically engineered the most painful type of failure. It tells you the problem is you, that you aren't getting any better, and that you're missing the most basic skills. It's a total psychological gut punch. But here's the thing, not all failure in games feels like that. Not at all. In fact, a lot of games are beloved because they're so hard. Clever design can make failure feel motivating instead of crushing. So let's actually compare how a few different games handle it. And this just nails the crucial difference. See, both games blame you, the player. That's an internal attribution. But look at that second line. Super Real Tennis implies the cause is stable. You're just not good. Brain age, though, it frames your failure as unstable. It tells you your brain age is 60 today, but hey, with practice, you can improve. Failure is just a temporary state, not some permanent flaw. And then, some games take it even further. In Portal 2, the AI GLaDOS directly and, let's be honest, hilariously insults you. But it totally works because it's so over the top that it just becomes this playful challenge. It's not trying to create self-doubt. It's trying to get you fired up to prove those taunts wrong.
Okay, so this brings us to an even weirder behavior. It's not just about how we react to failure anymore. Now we're talking about the ways players actually make games harder for themselves, to the point where it kind of looks like they're playing to lose on purpose. So when you really look at these reasons, you realize, oh, this isn't real self-sabotage. What's really happening is that players are just redefining the goal of the game. Winning isn't the only thing that matters. Sometimes the goal is to have a fair fight, or to keep things interesting, or just to see what happens when you don't play by the rules. And this shows that, players often need a little push. We naturally look for the path of least resistance, even if it's super boring. This lumberjacking strategy, it was the absolute best way to win, but it was mind-numbingly dull. So here's the key. Failure can actually be a good thing. It forces us off that easy, boring path and pushes us to find more creative, more interesting ways to play. And in this case, the goal just completely shifts. These players aren't trying to land the perfect trick anymore. No, they're actively trying to create the most entertaining, the most hilarious, the most spectacular failure imaginable. The failure itself becomes the success, and then they share it with everyone online. So all of this is building to a really critical point. Failure isn't just some obstacle you need to get around. It can be a fundamental part of the whole experience, the actual engine of learning and growth. And accepting that,
That is the key to truly enjoying a challenge. Now check this out. A study found something that seems completely backwards at first. Players rated a game way higher when they felt personally responsible for their own failures. Think about that. We actually prefer games where we know that when we lose, it's our own fault. And that right there is the core paradox. To get that amazing feeling of satisfaction when you finally overcome a tough challenge, you first have to accept the pain and frustration of knowing that you are the cause of your own setbacks. You just can't have one without the other. And this just lays it out perfectly. Failure is not the end of the story. It's step 2 in a 4-step cycle. It's that critical moment that forces us to stop, to think, to learn, and to adapt. Without that failure, there's no learning. And without the learning, there's no real success and no growth. So ultimately, how we react to failure, whether it's in a video game or in life, it all comes down to this really powerful question. Do we see a setback as just a simple, specific event, or do we see it as a reflection on who we are, our intelligence, our skills, our identity? The trick to learning, to really improving, is being willing to accept that painful answer, that yeah, sometimes this is my fault. Because it's only by accepting that responsibility that we can find the motivation to actually become the person we hope to be.